Hey there everyone, and welcome back to GameVine, and my name is David.
I'm Chris.
Trevor. And today we are here reviewing a social deduction game called Spyfall. Now this is the Russian copy made by Hobby World, but the Cryptozoic now owns the rights to this, and for the life of me, I don't understand why this isn't highly in circulation right now. It's a little harder to get than I would like, but this is a game all about a spy is among you.
Somewhere.
And there's only one spy, instead of their social deduction game where you have teams off going against each other. You just have one person, and you all have one location card, and one person will have the spy card. So they're going to know where they are, and it is the spy's responsibility to find out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, exactly where they are. And people are going to be asking questions, and the spy's going to have limited information, but he's going to pick up more as it goes on, and people give out more information. It's a game about being vague, but not completely vague. So now let's show you what comes in this box, and then we'll show you how to play the game Spyfall. Let's go. Okay, so this is what you get in the game of Spyfall. Again, this is the Russian copy, but it's not going to make much of a difference because this is really language independent, which is one of the cool things I like about this game. Simply, you just get a whole bunch of cards with all these different locations on them. You can see you have some in the sea, some not, some in the air, some at different events, and you get 12 of each of those cards, and they have little baggies that come with this game, which is very cool. It's recommended to keep the spy card on the very front because you're going to pick one of these cards at the beginning of one of these decks to play a round of Spyfall. So now that you've seen all the components, that's what you get right here. Let's go and explain this game. So I know the components are just cards here, but the concept of the game is where the game really grabs you and shines. Now it takes the social deduction game and flips it on its head and singles only one person out, and that person's the spy. Normally you would have teams. I've seen one or two games that single one person out when it comes to social deduction game, but none that really grabbed me as much as Spyfall. But I don't want to speak ahead of myself. Let's explain how to start this game. What you're going to do simply is just take one of these cards here, one of these decks, you'll shuffle them up, and then you'll grab it and take the deck out. Now every deck has a spy card, and so we're going to take that and place it on the bottom of the deck here, and then we're going to pass out the remainder of players with the location cards here. So say that we're playing a 6-player game, we're going to do 5 more cards, and now we are ready to play once we shuffle these up and pass one out to each player. So I got a location card. Now the location cards are broke down. It basically says the name of where you are. Again, it's Russian, and don't ask me to pronounce these Russian words. There's no way I can do it. And then it has a role down here. Again, you can kind of make up a role because, again, this is all in Russian, and you can use your imagination, but the roles really don't come into play. Really what matters is the picture here, because you're going to be asking one question to another player to try to get information. You want to be vague, but you want to try to get information so you can single out the spy. So now that we know that we are not the spy, let's look and see which one of these cards are not. Oh, there we go. So the spy is right here, and the start player, you're going to pick whatever you roll a dice or however you want to do, and then you start an 8-minute timer. Now during this time, you're going to try to figure out who the spy is, and the spy is going to try to figure out where they are. Now you're going to take this little book here and you're going to put it on the middle of the table so the spy has some reference. And I suggest that when you're asking the question, you hold it instead of looking at your card and giving away any kind of tells that way. And then once you've asked the question to the person, pass this book off and they'll look at it and then they'll answer a question. So what kind of questions can you ask? Say I'm the start player, I can ask anybody at the table a question. Say I'm asking a question to Chris here, I can say, what brought you to today's event? This looks like it's some kind of gladiator movie at this point, and maybe he will say, if he's not the spy, well, I had a script or something like that. But maybe he won't, because that's really giving a huge tell, because then the spy is going to be looking for somewhere that has cameras, because he's like, oh, script? That must be possibly a play or maybe some kind of set. So Chris might, I might not ask Chris that question, or maybe Chris won't give me that type of answer. But that is basically what you're going to be doing. Maybe you'll ask them, what color is more prominent right now, or are you near land? Or the one that we like to ask is, are you is the spy close to the objective? Because the spy shows up in every one of these cards. He's in camo, and sometimes maybe he's in plain view here. I don't know where he is there. See, sometimes I can't even find him. In this card one right here, he's all painted silver, which is pretty cool. So that's the question that we like to ask. And once I've asked that question to Chris, he is now the player who's going to ask the next question, and that's how turns go. He can ask anybody he wants except for me. I have to sit out a turn. So he'll ask Trevor, and then Trevor can ask me a question after that if he wants, and then we'll continue with this process going back and forth through this 8-minute period. Two things can happen during this period. The spy can just stop the game immediately and say, I know where I am, and he will pick out a location, and if he is right, the spy will gain points. Now, I'll go over the point scenario soon, but we really don't play with the points. This is more of a party game where we just play round after round, trying to find out who the spy is, and the points just become irrelevant at that point. The other thing that can happen is somebody can accuse somebody as the spy. It has to be unanimous, but once that happens, let's say that I am accusing Trevor and we all say, yes, Trevor, you are the spy, and he is the spy, then the team will get points and he won't get any points. But if we accuse Chris and he isn't the spy will gain points, so that's kind of the initiative and the consequence. The thing is, the spy has to call out the location before the 8-minute timer is up. Once that 8-minute timer is done, the group then has to discuss who they think the spy is. The spy has no longer any say in this at this point other than his vote to who he thinks the spy is. And then if the group gets it right, they will again get points. If they get it wrong, then the spy will get points. And that's how you basically play Spyfall. You will accumulate these points if you're playing round after round and see who an ultimate winner is, because you can do that if you want to play a competitive game of Spyfall. But I say just play this game with the understanding that you're going to go in one round, have fun, and I dare you to try to play this game just once. It's just like Pringles. Once you pop, you literally cannot stop. We've played this game 5 times. Almost every time I've busted it out on the table. And like I said, there are different locations. I'm going to just kind of scan a few here, but I don't want to give away too much here. Again, it doesn't show all the picture in here. That's one thing I want to let you know there. So now that you know how to play Spyfall, let's give this game a grade and tell you what we think. And so that is how you play Spyfall. And as we always do, I'm going to be giving this game a letter and or a percentage grade, and these guys are going to go 1 out of 10. What I settled on for this one, I like social deduction games. Let me put that caveat in before I say I gave this one an 87%. Yes, this one is one of my favorite social deduction games. It was a hit coming out of the gate. A lot of people purchased this Russian game in anticipation of playing it, and they didn't want to have to wait for a publisher to pick it up, but then Crypto picked it up, and they couldn't keep their hands on it because people at every con that I went to, they went straight to this booth, and for some reason, they can't bring more than 100 copies of Spyfall. But I'm putting that in here and saying that right now because people just love this game. This was the hottest social deduction game. I think it came out in 2014, maybe late 2013, for good reason. It's different in the way that you have the one spy, and he has no knowledge at all, and when you are the spy, it's so anxiety-inducing because you have nothing to really go off of. But in the same respect, if you're asking a question and you have a location, you don't want to give that spy any kind of information at all, so it's kind of stressful in that way.
Yeah.
So that can be a downfall. I think one of the things that is a minor quibble that I don't like about this game is they need to find a better way to kind of, I don't know, disperse the information. When we are taking the turns in here, the person that's asking the question will grab the book and look at this little picture thing here so they don't give away that they are the spy, and then they give this to the person that they asked,
and that person if they are a spy or not, has to look at this and then figure out what they're going to say. So I think that's kind of clunky in a sense. It's not really smooth, but that is the only quibble I like. I like this that's different than a game of like One Night Werewolf. I like that it's super fast. And the card quality is really good. I mean, the production on it, I love the art style. It's kind of like a spy kind of Mad Magazine kind of take on it.
Yeah.
But I gave this game an 87%. It's in high regards. I recommend this if you are into social deduction games. It's not, the theme is kind of there. If you like spies, you might like it, but it is what it is. So, who's going to go next?
I guess I will go.
Okay.
I give game 7 out of 10.
This game is in Russian. It doesn't mean you have to speak
Oh.
Russian.
Oh,
You can.
crap.
Or
Okay.
speak in Russian accent.
Crap.
Well, yeah, so what are you going to get?
Let's go. I'm giving it a 7.
7?
I like it. I always like any of the deduction games.
So
like
how does
Spy
this
or
rank in your? Cause like you said, this is your favorite type of genre. Is this better? Is this one of your favorites? Is it up there?
I mean, it's up there. It's not quite as high as One Night Werewolf or anything like that, Resistance or anything. But it's got a good. I like the artwork in it. It's, I mean, really good. I mean, you're just trying to figure out who the spy is. You just want to out him as quick as you can and ask. The only, it's not really a downside is that, like you mentioned earlier with the page, you have to kind of pass it around and give clues on where the spy is or what the area looks like without letting the spy know where he's at.
Yeah, because they're gonna have.
Because they're gonna have the same access to see.
There's a whole bunch of red in there, huh?
Yeah.
Where's the red?
So the only thing you said, the only downside to it is the kind of questions you want to ask somebody without giving away too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy it. Artwork's great. 7 for me.
All right, you.
I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. And just as a caveat to some of the things that I had issues with this game. Again, I'm playing this version that it's a Russian version. It's imported.
Yeah.
You said it's been picked up by an American publisher.
Yeah.
So again, take some of this with a grain of salt because I'm simply basing it off of my experience with this specific game.
It's not much different. The only things that really matter are the for the positions. There will be a mechanic and there will be a server. You'll have a title to there, and we can't translate the title. I mean, you can, but they're really not that relevant. They might help out, but it's not really going to add to the question. So you had to get the same game.
Yeah. I think like the main thing he had already kind of shown, you have this magazine, this little book here, and this is what you go off of. I wish they could have. I know it's kind of big, especially if you keep it this size.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice if they could have at least made like one more of these and maybe a little higher quality than just kind of a flimsy booklet.
The thing is, the whole picture isn't on here, so people can look at certain parts of the card that aren't on here.
And the spy won't.
Yeah, they won't have any. Like if there's a number missing, they can say that. But
well, see, and that was something when I played. I thought that was an element of the game.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they want the public booklet to have some things omitted from it. That way, it gives the other people an advantage.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
Yeah. Who knows?
I like and dislike games like these. It just depends on who you play with because you have it's kind of all versus one. You know, you've got the spy and then everybody else is trying to team up and find that person. So, but it makes the winning experience that much more satisfactory if you're the spy and you do everybody.
You get one over everybody.
Yeah, that happens. Not too often, but it does happen. There is a game part of this. You score multiple rounds. If you're the spy, you win like 3 points if you win.
Right.
Or
That
if you
makes
win
sense.
as a team, you win so many points. But that falls to the wayside for us. I never really score this game. I just play round after round, and that's what's
Because
just
it's so quick to do
right.
as well.
And that's one of these games that you want to play again after the first round. You'll play at least, I don't know, 3 times.
I mean, you
it's
almost
so
have
fast.
to, really.
Yeah. It's not, like Chris, it's not one of my favorite social deduction games. I mean, there's a lot I would put ahead of this just because I think that it falls short where a lot of other ones just blow the top off the house. So, but it's a fun game. I gave it a 7 out of 10, so I would recommend, especially if you can get it relatively cheap, I would recommend you buy this. It's a fun game, for any setting, whether you're playing with a really hardcore group of gamers or if you're playing with family, if you're playing with friends, anybody.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yep.
All right, so that is our final thoughts and how we basically feel about Spyfall. Believe the hype or don't, it doesn't matter. If you want a social deduction game, I don't think that you can lose with this one. So, I've been Dave, and until the next time that we see ya,
Trevor!
Chris?
have a great rest of your day and a great time with all that you play. What you're saying?
What?
Do it.
Bing, bang, boom!
He did it!
bang boom.
He did it again.
Hey, did you see a spy there?
I don't know. It's just fine.
I don't know. Did you guys catch that?
I don't know what you're talking about.